Hi, this is Kitty Boytnott of Boytnott Coaching, or Kitty at careermakeover.coachesconsole.com. And today I'd like to talk about the 4 critical mistakes that I believe hold teachers back from finding a new career path. I specialize in working with teachers who are burnt out and want to explore their career alternatives. Sometimes they've been teaching for just a few years and they've come to the conclusion that it isn't what they thought it was going to be. They are in a school where they're having a really tough time. Perhaps they've come to the conclusion that whatever they thought they were going to get out of teaching, it isn't happening for them, and it's time to consider at least what other options there might be. I also work with a lot of mid-career professional teachers who are 15 to 25 years, let's say, who have come to the conclusion that they've reached the pinnacle of their salary level and that salaries aren't going up anymore and their expenses continue to go up. For some, salary isn't as much of a consideration as a lack of mobility and being able to be promoted within the profession without having to go into administration. And while that's certainly an avenue for some people, it isn't what works for some. So these folks come to me looking for advice, coaching, and counseling on how to make a transitional move from teaching, whether it's after 3 years or 23 years, into a business-oriented profession or career. And I help them make that transition. I've done it for myself, and I've worked with other career coaches, learning how the moving parts of the job search strategy that works operates, and I share my expertise and experience with those folks who are interested in making that change. So if that sounds like you, or if you know someone that it sounds like, these are the 4 critical mistakes that I believe people tend to experience. And the first one is that they haven't taken enough time to consider what now? What's next? So, okay, let's say you've been teaching 2nd grade for 10 years. What other possibilities might there be out there for you? And when I say that these folks don't take enough time to consider that question, I'm not saying that they haven't thought about it some, because they certainly have. But my experience is that they haven't given themselves full permission to look at all of the various opportunities and alternatives that there might be, including and up to going into business for yourself, starting your own small business based on a passion that you have. I also don't think people spend enough time thinking about their own purpose or passion or what they consider to be their mission in life. Somehow we have this separate view of what is your purpose in life and what do you do for a living. I think that's all messed up. I think what you do for a living should be in alignment with what you believe your purpose and your passion and your mission are. Shouldn't they? In order for you to be truly happy, truly fulfilled, to be feeling like everything's working in the same direction. Very often in our work lives, don't we sometimes feel like we're swimming upstream against the current? We're asked to do things that we don't naturally find easy to do. We're tasked with things that feel difficult and foreign to us. And yet, because we want to comply, because we need to comply in order to keep the job, we sometimes do things that we don't believe are in our own best interest. And for some teachers, it has become a problem that they are, in some cases, being asked to do things that they don't think is in the best interest of their students. And so then you come up with a crisis of conscience. At what point do you say enough? Enough testing. Part of the reason I know I retired was that I could not bring myself to participate in what I didn't believe was a system that added to the lives and benefit of the students that I would have been teaching. I did not want to participate in the testing business. Just didn't. I don't believe in it. I had been able to work in that education career because I was the librarian and didn't have to. But when I was facing going back into a classroom where I would have to be a participant, a full out participant in the testing accountability craze that everybody's bought into, I knew that it was time for me to go. So that was the breaking point for me. And then I had to think about and take time to consider what's next. If that isn't going to be what's next for me, what is next for me? And it took a long time. It took several months of soul searching, meditating, seeking out expert advice and coaching before I came to the conclusion that for me, coaching was next. And I cannot be happier. So I know for me, I made the right decision. Now what I try to do is help other people come to a decision that works for them, whatever that happens to be. But what I'm saying is you can't come up with that overnight. You have to spend some time with it. You have to sit with it. You have to think about, and you have to allow yourself, to some degree, I think, to be guided toward what is next for you. So the critical number one problem that people run into is not giving that question enough time to let it emerge. What's next for you? And then the second critical mistake is without completing the first step in deciding what's next, people rush into having a resume written or they write one for themselves, and then they start sending it out all over everywhere without any real strategy and without any real idea of what it is that they want to be doing. They've chronicled everything they've ever done in their career, every job they've ever had, every responsibility they've ever had, every duty they've ever executed. And so when I look at a lot of teachers' resumes, what I see are job responsibilities and duties that may or may not have anything at all to do with what you would be doing in a new career. Before you write a resume, before you pay someone hundreds of dollars to write a resume for you, doesn't it make more sense to think about where you want to go next and then pull out those skills that lend themselves to making the case for why you'd be a good candidate for a particular job? But a lot of teachers don't approach it that way. And that's a mistake, in my opinion. I've already alluded to this one. Some teachers just think, it doesn't really matter what you do. You just want out of the classroom. Whatever situation you're in at the moment, you want out. It's painful. You're done. It's time to move on, but you don't know where you're going. And so you just apply for anything and everything. You look in the want ads, you look at Indeed or Career Builder or the Ladders or LinkedIn or wherever to try to find jobs that sound like maybe you could do it. If it's got the word education in it, training, maybe you could do that. But you're not being strategic about it. You're not thinking through what are the logical steps that you should follow in order to get to your next career. So just applying for things, it's like throwing Jell-O at the wall to see what might stick. That is not a strategy. And in my experience, it's not a winning, certainly not a winning method for going about finding your next job. And the fourth mistake the last one I want to speak to today, is not understanding how much LinkedIn impacts your job search. If your resume makes it through an applicant tracking system, which is a whole other moving part of the job search process, if you actually manage to get your resume and application to land on someone's desk and they look at it for the typical 6 to 11 seconds, and let's say you get them intrigued enough that they want to learn more, then one of the first things they're going to do is go straight to their computer and look you up on LinkedIn. Now, they may also look for you on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and wherever else they can find you, but they will definitely be looking for you on LinkedIn. And so here are some of the mistakes that I see a lot of teachers making on LinkedIn. They don't have a LinkedIn account yet, or they have one, but they haven't posted a picture, or they've posted a picture and it's not a very professional looking one. It's something that they cut and pasted off of their Facebook page. Or it's a selfie. Wrong. Don't put a selfie on your profile. They haven't taken the time to write a compelling summary statement. They haven't thought through all of the things that need to be included in their work history. And they haven't taken the time to customize their URL and only have a dozen or so connections. All of those combined indicate someone who's new to LinkedIn, who may be new to the job search, that you're just starting your job search, that you haven't been on LinkedIn very long, and that maybe you even have an ulterior motive for being on LinkedIn besides being part of your professional network. And any one of those things, not having a good photo, not having customized your URL, only having a few connections, all of those sort of scream to a hiring manager, this person's just starting out on LinkedIn and they're not really paying attention to what their LinkedIn says about them. So I think it's critically important for you to get savvy about LinkedIn as soon as possible and to build a strong, I refer to as a rock star LinkedIn profile. And I can help with that if you have an interest in that particular area. So what do you do if you've already made some of these mistakes, or without help, you know these are mistakes that you would be making? What do you do? How do you find out what mistakes to avoid, what errors to step around, what landmines not to step on? So I want to invite you to join me to learn about these steps, as well as some others that are important in jump-starting a job search. Whether you're just starting out on a brand new job search or you are stuck, you've been applying for a while and you've not had any luck. I'm offering a free webinar coming up Tuesday, May the 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern. The link to register is right here below the picture of the job search graphic. I would love it if you would join me. It's free. We will spend about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, talking about 10 specific things that most people don't know or don't understand about the job search process. I want to help take the mystery out of it, demystify it, put clarity to it, provide you with information and education about what it is that you need to know and understand about the job search process. If you're just starting out, this is critically important for you to understand. If you are stuck in the midst of a job search that's not going anywhere and you don't know why, you need to see this webinar. I'll be live at 7 p.m. Eastern. I hope you'll register at bit.ly Jumpstart Your Job Search webinar. I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, post in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks so much and have a great day.